We've seen all of these cases of alleged corruption with COVID-19 procurement. There's a large number of investigations. The SIU is investigating. What actually has to happen for you to be in a position to decide whether there is a criminal charge to answer?
I think I must first start by saying, Stephen, there's a lot of work that is being done as we speak on those cases. And we want to make sure that there is sufficient evidence that can substantiate the allegations, and we have tried to make sure that we divide the cases into short-term, medium-term and long-term. So in terms of the ones that have come up now, all the law enforcement agencies are collaborating together to make sure that we deal with them as soon as possible.
Okay, so is there a lot of work that actually has to be done before you can make a decision?
It depends on the complexity of the case, and very many of them may not be that complicated given the fact that everything around COVID-19 has happened over the last 3 months, so probably it's not going to be that difficult. But as I said to you, we are trying to divide them between short-term, medium-term and long-term.
Okay, the Special Investigating Unit, they're investigating. Now, we know that in the past they've done investigations, made recommendations, and those haven't been followed up. Do their reports go to you or to the Hawks?
We are working very close, as I said, with all the law enforcement agencies. We're very close with the SIU, and when there's a criminal matter that we need to follow up, then they will contact the relevant agency, which is likely to be the Hawks, and we are working with the Hawks to make sure that we direct the investigations in order for us to be in court as soon as possible.
Okay, Sipho, so I'm going to ask you for a timeline so that I can try and keep you to it a little later, and I know you aren't going to give me one, right? I mean, are you able to give us any kind of timeline on when we'll start to see this coming through?
Stephen, it's very difficult to give timelines in investigations because it all depends on the information that you need. How soon do you get the statements? Are there things to authenticate? So if you say short term, I must say to you that we're looking to make sure that we act as soon as possible. But for me to be able to say to you at that particular date and we act before then or we act after, it's going to be difficult. And sometimes in terms of operations, you can't do that because you're working with criminals, they are listening, but you need to act as soon as possible. And that's what we have said to ourselves, that we need to act on these cases and we need to be in court as soon as we can if we have sufficient cases that are not complicated.
The context around the allegations that have surfaced in the last 2 weeks is very important. And part of that context is that the National Prosecuting Authority has made no arrests and has charged no one with regards to what's called state capture corruption. At the same time, you have the Zondo Commission, which in some ways is perhaps fueling some of the public anger because there's more and more evidence coming to light about what happened. So let me put it to you like this, and I realize, people, that you're relatively new back at the NPA. You've been there before, but not during this era. There are many people, many South Africans, who believe that no one is ever going to be charged for any high-level corruption in government. Do you understand that feeling?
Look, we know we are under pressure. We are under pressure from ourselves, given the fact that we have to act, and we know a lot has happened. But to ensure that when we go to court, there are reasonable prospects of success, we need to make sure we close all the gaps. And as you know, the regulations with regards to evidence before the Zondo Commission were changed last week. It means also we can have access to people working for the Zondo Commission. There's a lot of work that has been done, in fact, with regards to many of the complicated investigations. So we are making progress, and our actions are going to speak very soon in terms of the actions we are going to take with people implicated in many of those investigations. So we want to speak through our actions, and we want to make sure when we act, we give people indictment, as we have done with VBS, so that immediately thereafter, we are ready for trial. We don't want to continue postponing cases for further investigations now. These cases or investigations are prosecutor guided, and we want to make sure by the time we act, we effect arrest, we are ready to go to trial.
Will there really be prosecution, Sipho? I hate to say this, and I think I speak for many, many people, I don't believe there will be any more.
Stephen, you will begin to believe when we get convictions. You must remember, many of these cases are complicated, and some of them involve other countries. So in some cases, dealing with other countries is excruciatingly slow. But we must accept also that there's been an intervention of COVID-19. Be that as it may, we are making progress. And I'm sure when we go to court, we'll be able to see the kind of progress that we have made with regard to some of these cases and other legs.